I want to welcome all of you out there on Facebook and YouTube that are watching, and all those that will watch later in the week, to the Sunday morning service here at the Home Center on 11/19 or 11/9/25. Yes, a little ahead of time. I invite you now to join me in our opening prayer. Spirit, let us remember God the Creator works through us. Our work is not something we do. It is an inside job. Let us remember we work as co-creative partners with the creative intelligence that dwells within us. Let us remember to listen to the still small voice of intuition that will guide us to do our sacred work, the work of the Creator God. So be it. Now, I'd like to invite Reverend Jane back up.
Thank you, Connie. That's a perfect opening for my message this morning. All right. So good morning again.
Good morning.
So recently I attended an event, and there was someone that I hadn't seen for some time. And I said, wow, I haven't seen you for some time. And she said, well, I see you more than you see me. And I must have had a strange look on my face because she said, I watched the services online. I was, oh, that's so great. So later I told Jerry we should do something like they did on Romper Room. And for those of you that are younger, young folk, Romper Room was a children's show from like the 50s to the early 90s. And I think it was at the end, at some point, Miss Molly maybe would pick up her magic mirror. Yes. And she would look through her magic mirror at all the children in television land. And she would say, I see John, and I see Kathleen, and I see Pam, and I see Robert, right? Everybody was, and I always sat there waiting for them to say my name. And Jennifer is a pretty common name in the 70s, and I never got to hear my name. So it was really sad. So to our friends online, maybe you heard your name today, and we're glad you're with us. So this morning, I'm going to share something ancient and mysterious and relevant to our spiritual path today. A text, maybe some of you know, the Gospel of Thomas. Maybe you're familiar with this text. Many of us know or have heard of the other books in the Bible, like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but the book of Thomas was not included in the Bible. It was lost for over 1,000 years. So before we explore the teachings, I want to share a little bit about the history because I think it's pretty fascinating. The writings were discovered in 1945 among the Nag Hammadi writings in Egypt. And there's several different versions of how it came to be, but it's said that there were a group of farmers that were digging near a cliffside, maybe a well, and they came upon a large clay jar sealed with pitch with the writings inside. Some say it was a teenager or a local farmer that was digging near a graveyard in the desert. So whatever the story is, these writings are part of what now we call the Nag Hammadi Library. And it's a collection of early Christian and mystical texts that disappeared from history. And these teachings of Gnostic Christianity were vilified, especially since they were declared heretic by Orthodox Christianity in the 14th century. So included are several Gnostic texts in this library: the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Philip, the Gospel of Truth, and the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and the Apocryphon of John. I even highlighted it because I knew I was going to mispronounce that. So, and these books are part of a collection of about 50 writings. And these writings are significant in the study of early Christian and Gnostic thought. Scholars believe it was originally written in Greek, maybe as early as the 1st century, maybe even around the time that the New Testament Gospels were written. Later, it was translated into Coptic, the Egyptian language that was found in the text. In an opening line, the author reveals, "These are the secret sayings that the living Jesus spoke and which Didymus Judas Thomas wrote down." The Gospel of Thomas is presented as a private conversation between Jesus and the Apostle Thomas, whom he calls my twin and true companion, leading many to believe that Thomas and Jesus were twins. So before I go any further, I want to share some thoughts about Jesus from a metaphysical perspective, because I'm going to be talking about Jesus a lot today. So he's not only seen as a historical figure, but as a fully awakened, highly evolved spiritual master. Many of us believe that he's a master teacher, and he embodied the divine potential in humanity. He came to show that we are, not just that he was. Christ, the title Christ, meaning awakened or anointed consciousness. And he expressed the Christ consciousness, the full realization of divine awareness. Jesus demonstrated the creative power of thought, the ability of consciousness to shape reality. And the miracles that he performed weren't magic or divine exceptions. They're mastery of spiritual law, alignment with the divine principles. And he wasn't and is not fundamentally different from any of us. He's what we are capable of becoming. He didn't claim power for himself. In fact, he said, "These things I do, and you shall do them. Even more, greater works than I do." What a spiritual invitation that is. Unlike the familiar Gospels in the Bible, this story isn't about miracles or crucifixion or the resurrection. It's not a narrative like many of the the Testaments in the New Testament Gospels. It's more of a collection of mystical teachings meant for personal and spiritual awakening. It's a collection of 114 short sayings from Jesus, that spiritual wisdom that he shared only with his disciples, only those ones that were close to him. And it reads less like a biography and more like a guide for our inner life. And it's believed that early church leaders thought that the teachings were maybe too mystical or maybe too empowering for the individual, and they eventually disappeared or were hidden from mainstream Christianity. So today, as we read it, we're not just reading the words. We're reconnecting with a spiritual voice that was silent for centuries. In this text, Jesus teaches that the divine is within. We talk a lot about that here, right? That the kingdom's not out there. It's right here. It's a simple but powerful message that still holds resonance and truth for many of us today. We often look outward, right, for answers. We're trained to do so. We look outside of ourselves for approval or maybe for belonging or validation. We look outward for answers and for healing, and maybe we look outside of ourselves even for identity. The Gospel of Thomas asks us to turn inward. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. Sounds a little bit like shadow work, huh?
Sounds cool.
A little bit like shadow work or inner healing or maybe integration. So what is within us? Is it truth, intuition, healing, suppressed emotions, unhealed wounds, the divine spark? When we bring what's inside of us forward, we face it and we understand it and we express it, and then we can heal it. We become whole. And it's a bit of a warning, right? What remains hidden will fester. It controls us from the shadows. It shapes behaviors that maybe we don't understand. The hidden can become anxiety or maybe fear or shame or self-sabotage. These things that are unexpressed, like grief, they can turn into bitterness, or those words that we don't say, those unspoken truths can turn into resentment. Unhealed trauma can turn into generational pain. And our soul begins to suffocate under what we refuse to feel. What we avoid owns us, and what we deny controls us. What we refuse to face, that's what becomes our suffering so often. This text invites a different kind of spirituality, not one based on winning the approval of God, but awakening that divine spark that already exists in each one of us. The wisdom and the healing and the love, the direction that we seek, it isn't somewhere else. It's not outside of us. It's inside of us. It's always inside. We don't need to travel to get to God. We don't need to journey to get to spirit, but we can awaken the God that's already present. We're not trying to reach the divine. We're remembering that we were never separate from the divine. Another theme in the Gospel of Thomas is self-knowledge. And Jesus says in the Gospel, when you know yourself, then you will be known. To know God, Spirit, Creator, we must know ourselves. And this kind of knowing is more than our personality, knowing our personality, or knowing our preferences or our opinions. It's about seeing ourselves honestly and with compassion, like soul level honesty. When we understand who we are, we stop living in fear and we start living from our soul. We can ask ourselves, what are the fears that still control me? What gifts am I still hiding? What truths am I afraid to speak? What wounds are still shaping my choices? When we know ourselves, we awaken something holy. When we know ourselves, we recognize and we remember the God within. To hear our inner voice is to hear divine guidance. When we know this, when we heal our shadow, that's when we reveal our light. And over, Thomas reminds us not to be fooled by the outer world, this physical plane, because it's temporary and it fades and it shifts. And he tells his disciples not to rely on teachers or temples or systems to save them. He says, there is light within a person of light, and it shines on the whole world. If it does not shine, it's dark, meaning we already are the divine light. If we ignore it, the outer world is going to define us. The outer world has taught many of us to compete and to compare and to rank or to impress or to belong by fitting in. I mean, social media keeps us in those loops, right? We don't have to chase what the world promises us. The reminder is that this is temporary and it can be unstable. When we root ourselves in our inner knowing, we won't be troubled when things change, when circumstances change. When we root ourselves in the divine within, we're not shaken when life changes because our foundation is internal. It's not outside of us. We no longer rely on something or things that are outside of us. In this gospel, Jesus encourages personal revelation. He says, bringing forward what is within us. Saying faith is not imitation, not imitating, it's realization. We don't need to inherit our spirituality, but we can discover it. We question and we explore and we seek and we experience, because truth is found through experience, not just belief. One of the most revolutionary ideas, I think, in this gospel is that we don't need a priest or a ritual or a temple or a title to be connected to God. Uh-oh. Maybe that's why it wasn't included in the canonized books, right? In a time when only religious authorities claimed spiritual power, Thomas suggested something different. Every person has access to the sacred. No gatekeepers, no prerequisites, no separation. We already have what we're seeking. We don't earn it. We don't need to prove it. We just remember it. We don't need to be perfect to be spiritual. Thank God. Right? We don't need a label or a title or permission. The sacred lives in each of us. Us ordinary people. The sacred lives within us. And when we recognize the divine within ourselves, we also begin to recognize it in others, right? I see the divinity in you. I see the divine in you. I see the divine in you. I see the divine in you. We live in a really noisy and busy world, right? We're overstimulated, we're overscheduled, we're overconnected, maybe overcommitted, and we're undercentered, and we're undergrounded. Spirituality, or living a spiritual life, starts to kind of feel like a performance. Am I doing this right? Do I believe in the right things? Am I worthy? Am I enough? And Thomas offers a gentler way. Be still and listen inwardly. The sacred is already there. We're already holy. We're already whole. We are already connected to spirit. And our work is not to become spiritual, right? We don't need to become spiritual, but what we can do is to awaken the spirit that's within us, the God within us. We don't have to seek God, but we can remove those obstacles, those things that get in our way, that keep us from seeing our own divinity, that divine presence, that it's already there. And the Gospel of Thomas doesn't try to convert anyone. It doesn't tell us what to believe. It invites us to experience. It teaches us that every single person is capable of awakening. And when we awaken, we stop seeking things outside of ourselves. We stop searching for love. We stop seeking for those truths. We stop giving our power away. We stop measuring ourselves against others. And we begin to walk from the center of who we truly are. And it's an invitation to turn inward and to listen and to bring forth our truth, to heal what's hidden, and to live from the soul, not the ego. These ancient words and teachings are what many of us already strive to live, right? We're trying. And I believe that much of what we practice, many of us practice, aligns with these original teachings of Jesus. They're simple concepts. They're fundamental beliefs, principles that serve as a foundation for understanding not just ourselves, but understanding the world that we live in. The kingdom is within us. We're not separate from the divine. The divine's not distant. It's right here. Get to know yourself, because self-awareness is a spiritual path. True peace comes from within. It comes from the inside, not the outside. From within, not without. We don't need permission to be connected to spirit, because that spark lives in each one of us. Every single one of us carries the sacred. The Gospel of Thomas doesn't give us commandments, it gives us mirrors. It asks us to look at ourselves, to remember that we came from something holy and that we carry that holiness within us. It invites us to stop chasing and start remembering. The Gospel of Thomas also teaches that spiritual awakening comes from inner revelation, not religion. What you seek is already planted in your soul, and what you pray for is already growing in your heart. Turn inward and be still. Be watchful, observe. Bring forth what is within you. If the soul remains unspoken, or if the truth remains buried, then what's hidden becomes a burden, and our heart will bend under that weight, under its own weight. When we awaken, we remember. And when we listen to the voice the divine placed on our own spirit, on each of our spirits, we'll find that the kingdom was never far. It was written in us from the very, very beginning. And though this text is ancient, it's one of the most metaphysical and spiritual texts that has been attributed to Jesus. It's consciousness-based and consciousness over doctrine, experience over belief, awakening the light within. And as I close this reflection this morning, remember that the Gospel of Thomas isn't asking us to believe. It's inviting us to awaken, to wake up, that the light is not above us. It's not outside of us. It lives right here in each of our hearts. So in this moment, let's turn inward. Let's go inside. Let's move now from the words of the mind into the quiet knowing of the soul. I invite you to gently close your eyes, soften your breath as I share a short meditation. Just take this moment to settle into your seat, allowing your spine to straighten, your shoulders to soften. Take a slow, deep breath in and release. Again, breathe deeply and let the body completely relax. And just feel yourself arrive. Feel the earth beneath you, holding you, supporting you, grounding you in the present moment. And now allow your mind to grow quiet. Let the chatter drift away. You're safe. You're held. You're here. As the Gospel of Thomas teaches, the kingdom is inside you. As you breathe, bring your awareness inward. There's a light within you, that spark of Creator, the spark of the divine, the spark of God, a flame that has never gone out. You don't need to create it. You don't need to earn it. You only need to remember it. And with your next breath, imagine that light growing softly in the center of your chest, warm, steady, alive. This is the presence of God within you. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. In this quiet moment, ask yourself gently, what inside me is needing to be brought forward? What truth is ready to be spoken? What part of me is ready to awaken? There is no need to force an answer, just listen. Let your soul speak softly. Now see that light expanding, filling your heart, your chest, your whole body. Feel it in your hands and in your feet. Feel it in your breath. As that light expands, let it wash away old stories, stories of not enough, stories of unworthiness, stories of separation. You're never separate from Creator. You're never disconnected from love. You've always been the light. Feel that light now shining gently through you, radiating beyond you, touching every life you meet, seen or unseen. You don't have to try to shine. You just shine by your own nature. With each breath, feel that truth settling deeper. I am connected. I am guided. I am sacred. Breathe in peace. Breathe in clarity. Breathe in love. Allow your awareness to return to your body softly, gently, feeling the chair beneath you, the air on your skin, the breath in your lungs. When you're ready, wiggle your fingers and your toes as you let your body wake up, gently opening your eyes as you come back, carrying that light with you. It's always yours, and it always will be. Okay. I meant to show this earlier, but this is a book that I had that has the annotated and it's explained. So it's got a lot of really great information. I think they have one for each. I have the Gospel of Mary and the Gospel of Truth and the Gospel of Philip, but this is just a really great reference. So you're welcome to take a peek at it after service. So we'll move into our offering portion of this morning. And for our folks online, we're grateful for what you're able to donate as well. And we have our PayPal link up. So go ahead and place that offering, whatever that is, right between your hands. And as we prepare our offering to the home center, let's hold it here and charge it up with the energy of alignment and generosity and sacred intention. We know that we are part of the greater circulation of good and that our gifts will multiply for the highest healing, growth, and service to us and our community. As the basket's coming around, please fill it with your blessings. And we thank you for your generosity and for continuing to support our good works. And so it is. I'll invite Reverend Connie to come up as the basket goes around.
I can see you.
That's all right. We can all be responsible for ourselves.
Back on your host.
We're good.
I thought I'd share a little story from this real fun book that Reverend Madge gave us ministers a few years ago. It's called Sermons on the Couch, and it's by Cindy Gentry. And what I'm going to read you this morning is Intuition. She always starts out with this greeting: "Good morning, most keen and kindred angels. Gather close as we figuratively join hands and join hearts to come together for a little while of quiet reflection. I want to talk with you today about your intuition, your inner wisdom. We all have that still, small voice inside of us that speaks to us when we are at crossroads. Sometimes it is when we must make a decision. In the immortal words of Clash, should I stay or should I go? Sometimes it is when we are picking up on some sort of negative energy in our surroundings, such as when Chad from accounting gives you the heebie-jeebies, or when you take evasive maneuvers seconds before an errant squirrel runs a suicide mission in front of your car. A wise woman, Shakti Gawain, once said, "There is a universal intelligence, life force that exists within everyone and everything. It resides within each one of us as a deep wisdom and inner knowing, and we can access this wonderful source of knowledge and wisdom through our intuition. an inner sense that tells us what feels right and true for us at any given moment. How do I access my spidey sense, you ask? If you aren't in the habit of listening, it takes a bit of practice. First of all, you must get quiet. Your intuition is not shouting and demanding. It will not yell over your video game or your social media posting. Just be present for a minute and listen. We have to engage all our senses and limit our distractions if we want to hear the call to action. How will I know if it is working, you ask? You have a lot of questions today. Have you ever had a friend ask your relationship advice and you knew instantly what they should do? Or you knew what they really wanted to do but just needed validation? It's when you take the facts and combine them with your feelings, that you are well on your way. And when you have come to the decision that it is right for you, verily, you will feel a peace about it. How do you feel in your heart? That's what she's saying. All too often, though, we override this wisdom. We fear looking foolish or casting a scene or causing a scene. It is important to honor the inner voice because it is there to keep you physically and emotionally safe. It is better to be embarrassed than harmed. We need to get in the difficult habit of acting immediately and asking questions later, rather than second-guessing ourselves in the moment. So I commend you. When next you are presented with a decision, listen for the voice. It's your voice. Dearest, it is beautiful and wise and knowing a person. Alan Alda once said, at times you have to leave the city or your comfort and go into the wilderness of your intuition. What you'll discover will be wonderful. What you'll discover is yourself. I felt that went very well with Jen's message this morning, and that was what I was led to go to. Okay. Now for our closing prayer, if you'll join me. Spirit, let us remember God the Creator works through us. Our work is not something we do. It is an inside job. Let us remember we work. Oops, I'm giving you the opening one again. Things happen up here sometimes. Okay. As we go into this new week, you can take all of what I told you just a minute ago with you that lies before us. Remember to direct your attention inward periodically during the day. Ask yourself, who's doing the work? Let us be a blessing in the inner work we do as co-creators this week. And may we be a beneficial presence in our world. So be it. Okay, almost got that opening prayer twice.
Relevant.
That's because it was so good.
Yeah. We could just pray it over and over.
Yes.
Mantra.
Remember, this is an inside job. To all of you folks out there in the internet world that have visited with us this morning, we say thank you for coming. We hope that you will join us again next week from our heart to yours.
Thank you.